The Massacre of Verden, 782 CE, Charlemagne's brutal warning. Prelude to bloodshed. The year was 782 CE. For years, the Saxons had resisted Charlemagne's relentless expansion and his demand that they abandon their ancient gods for Christianity. Led by the fierce warrior Widukind, they waged a desperate guerrilla war, striking Franks where they were weakest and vanishing into the dense forests. But Charlemagne, determined to break their defiance once and for all, responded with an iron fist. The latest Saxon revolt had caught the Franks off guard. At the Battle of Suntal, a Saxon ambush annihilated a detachment of Charlemagne's forces, killing key commanders and humiliating the mighty Frankish king. It was a challenge he would not tolerate. Enraged, Charlemagne mustered an army far greater than any he had used before. He would not merely defeat the Saxons, he would make an example of them. The Battle at Verden. The Saxons, emboldened by their recent victory, gathered near the Weser River, preparing for another confrontation. They did not expect Charlemagne to strike with such force and speed. His cavalry led the charge, shattering the Saxon flanks while heavily armored Frankish infantry pressed forward in an unstoppable way. Blades clashed, shields splintered, and the Saxon war cries were soon drowned out by the overwhelming power of the Frankish war machine. The battle was relentless, warriors locked in brutal combat, axes splitting shields, swords carving through flesh. The Saxons, fierce but unarmored, were cut down in droves by the heavily armored Frankish knights. Blood-soaked grass became the grave of hundreds within the first few hours of the battle. One Saxon warrior, a chieftain named Hrothgar, led a desperate counterattack, rallying his men in a last-ditch effort to break the Frankish line. His warriors roared, charging with desperate fury, but Charlemagne's forces were prepared. Frankish archers released a deadly rain of arrows, thinning the ranks before a devastating cavalry charge shattered their resolve. Hrothgar fell, his sword slipping from his grasp as a Frankish knight drove a spear through his chest. Widukind, knowing the battle was lost, fled with his closest warriors, leaving thousands of Saxons behind. Those who survived dropped their weapons, hoping for mercy. They would find none. The massacre begins. Charlemagne had long issued an ultimatum: submit to Christianity or face death. He believed the Saxons' continued resistance was not just defiance, but betrayal. Now, with 4,500 captives before him, he would make his harshest statement yet. At Verden, the prisoners were brought forward in groups, bound and kneeling, as Frankish executioners stood ready with their swords. No trial, no negotiations, only the cold certainty of death. One by one, they were slaughtered. The river ran red as the executions stretched from morning until night. The Franks worked in grim silence, carrying out their king's orders with ruthless efficiency. Some Saxons shouted curses until the very end, refusing to convert even as the blades fell. Others begged for mercy that would never come. A young Saxon warrior named Aldrich watched as his father was executed before him. His hands trembled, his mind racing as he realized he would be next. He clenched his jaw, whispering a final prayer to the old gods before the sword fell. As dusk settled, the Frankish executioners grew weary, their arms heavy with blood and exhaustion. Some hesitated, questioning the morality of their task, but none dared to defy Charlemagne's will. To disobey was to betray Christendom itself. The aftermath and the long shadow of Verden. The Massacre of Verden sent shockwaves throughout Europe. Many hailed Charlemagne as a hero of Christendom, a ruler who had purged the last vestiges of pagan resistance. But even among his own court, whispers of unease spread. Could forced conversion truly bring unity? Or had he only deepened the wounds of war? Widukind and his remaining warriors did not surrender. Instead, they retreated and launched even more rebellions in the years that followed, proving that terror alone would not break the Saxon spirit. Charlemagne eventually resorted to a different approach, offering land and status to those who converted willingly, while continuing to crush dissent with military might. Among the Frankish soldiers, some began to question the righteousness of their cause. A knight named Gerhard, once a devout follower of Charlemagne, found himself haunted by the massacre. He had watched young Saxon boys cut down alongside warriors, and the memory of their pleading eyes refused to leave him. Was this truly God's will, or had they become executioners of a broken people? For the Saxons, Verden became a rallying cry for vengeance. Songs were sung in secret, lamenting the fallen and cursing Charlemagne's name. Mothers whispered the story to their children, warning them never to trust the Franks. The scars of the massacre fueled rebellion for generations, and Charlemagne's dream of unity came at a heavy cost. Years later, when Charlemagne stood in St. Peter's Basilica, being crowned as the first Holy Roman Emperor in 800 CE, did he think back to Verden? Did he see the faces of the 4,500 who perished by his decree? Or was it just another step in his grand design to unite Europe under one faith? The Massacre of Verden remains one of the darkest stains on his reign. Was he a visionary unifying the continent, or a tyrant who used faith as a weapon? What do you think? Was Charlemagne's brutal decision justified, or was it an unforgivable war crime? Let us know in the comments. And if you love exploring the most controversial moments in history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the past.